Hello, good afternoon. My name is Gabby Fernandez, and I will be doing this week's Research Rainbow on an article titled Gays and Queers from the Centering to the Decentering of Homosexuality in American Films. So, the general overview for this film is an author that is analyzing a certain number of films. That depict homosexuality from the years of 1960 to year 2000. He provides an analysis on three different sections: general, mainstream, gays and lesbians, and queers. What he decides to focus on is 58 films in total that appeared between the year 1960 and the year 2000. 22 films were viewed from the time of 1970 through the 1989. 31 films that were viewed were from the 1990s. He wasn't very specific about the years, and the remaining were in between. The author chooses to work off of the Weberian tradition model, which is basically a sociological perspective that focuses on the understanding and explaining social action. So he is gathering all these films that he's reviewing and analyzing to kind of get an idea about three specifics that he wants to know more about. He focuses on three specific sections within his article. The first one being mainstream Hollywood films and the normalizing context. So within this section itself, the author focuses on a movie called Philadelphia with actor Tom Hanks, in which the main character, which is Tom Hanks, is gay. He has contracted AIDS, HIV. He has a gay partner. His family is very accepting. They have this whole, white picket fence type life, and he works in a general, 9 to 5 office type of situation. So other than him and his partner that are labeled as gay, everyone else is heterosexual, living their life, just very normal. So what the author is trying to expose within this specific section is how within the mainstream Hollywood films, they kind of tend to isolate the homosexuality portion of it. So yes, they're going to include, the two characters that are gay, and have the story revolve around them, but that's basically it. Like, it's just them two. Everyone else are heterosexuals, and they go about their life. So he focuses on that specific to where they try to make it normal. Like, yes, we have the two characters, but everyone around here is quote unquote normal. The second section that the author focuses on is gay and lesbian standpoint films from the 1980s and 1990s. So within these specific movies, they tend to be narratives about gays and lesbians. The film is very, the films are very open to who they're aimed at, since everyone watches movies. The standpoint from the films tend to be mainly from the gay lesbian standpoint. And once again, Hollywood tries to portray the gay characters as normal. For the most part, within these movies, the characters that are labeled as gay or lesbian, they tend to have a little bit more power, so to speak. They emerge from these different areas, political, legal. They tend to come out more in social clubs, newspapers. So it's not so much just, the main characters and everyone else around them are heterosexuals. It's actually telling a story involving the characters and their life and their background, or their current life, but it gives a whole story. It doesn't just exclude their everyday life. It kind of flips it around from the mainstream, how it's the two main characters and everyone around them, are heterosexuals. Within these films, it's the main characters that are gays or lesbians, but they also are able to provide a little bit more background to these characters and not just ignore the fact that, they're gay or lesbian. The last portion of the article that the author focuses on is the queer cinema decentering identity. So from this specific section, the author focuses on films that have queer characters, so to speak, and he basically is saying how within these films they have a little bit more leeway. These characters are considered fluid, which is the difference between the gay and lesbian, the other subgroup, gay and lesbian portion, to where these specific movies may be maybe husband and wife, and later on the wife discovers that she's actually attracted to women, so she realizes that she's bisexual or lesbian. So it has this fluidity, I can't say the word, I'm sorry, fluidity, that it goes from heterosexual to possibly homosexual, bisexual. So it gives it a little bit more than just, okay, this person is gay, they like males, they like females. These characters are given a little bit more of a different type of background for the films that they are portrayed in. These characters have jobs that are maybe considered artsy or hipster, such as cocktail waitresses, to where the hours can be very mixed around. Maybe they come in at 10 one day, maybe they come in at 2 at one day, as opposed to the film Philadelphia, where Tom Hanks has his office job, 9 to 5 type of situation. It's very strict, very rigid. Within these characters are the total opposite. They're very fluidy, not only in their sexuality, but also in their way of life. What I learned about this article was that there was actual subgroups within these movies. I grew up in a household that, my parents were very open to a lot of things. So it was never, when viewing these films, it wasn't like, oh my God, that's a sin, or oh, that's bad. It was just, oh, there's a gay guy, there's a gay, there's a lesbian, girl, etc., whatever. It was just that we liked watching the movie. So for me to read this article and realize that there are actual movies that are broken down into, gays and lesbians, or just general, like the author says, general Hollywood mainstreams that may have a gay character, may have a lesbian character, but everything else surrounding the film is very normal. I found that pretty interesting. Looking back at some of the previous movies, maybe that I've seen, like Brokeback Mountain, for example, I'm like, oh, I understand where that falls within these realms. So it was pretty much an eye opener to realize that there are different type of subsections within these groups, which makes sense, because through time, obviously groups evolve and people evolve. But by not being part of these groups, I never really paid much attention to it. It was just me watching a film, and that's what I learned.